Hi, my name is Keith Nitka. I'm the Battleship Operations Manager, and today our virtual adventure is happening in the captain's cabin, the import captain's cabin. Today I have a very special guest with me. I have James T. Farlow. He's a Seaman Second Class, served aboard Battleship Wisconsin during World War II. Came on board in 1944, saw action in the South Pacific, and left the ship in late 1945, early 1946. So today's virtual adventure is just going to be me talking with Mr. Farlow and find out a little bit about his background in the Navy. Hi, James.
Hi.
Welcome back to the Battleship Wisconsin.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you visiting us today, and thank you for agreeing to sit down and talk with us a little bit about your service here on BB-64. Your name is James Farlow. You were a Seaman Second Class, and if I remember correctly, of course, you were on board from 1944 until 1945. Early 1946?
End of the war.
Yep. Where were you born?
I was born in Tallapoosa, Georgia.
Okay. And how old were you when you joined the Navy?
I was 18.
18. Growing up, did you have a job or a career in mind for yourself when you were a kid?
Well, no, just done odd jobs when I was going to school, and my father was killed in a car accident when I was a child, 18 months old.
Oh my.
And my mother and my grandparents and so forth raised me and my brothers and my sister. And we was all born around Tallapoosa, Georgia.
Okay. Okay.
And I was the youngest.
So you enlisted into the United States Navy, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was your purpose behind enlisting? What made you want to enlist?
I wanted to get out of school.
Okay. See the world travel, right? Do you remember where you went to boot camp?
Yeah, Camp Perry, Virginia.
Oh, okay. Right up the road here.
Yeah.
Great.
I went to boot camp there.
Do you recall what you were thinking when you found out that you were going to the Battleship Wisconsin?
Well, we was on like a cargo ship because I guess my view of it that Wisconsin couldn't go through the canal, too large, I guess.
Okay.
So we went from Pier 92 in New York City on a cargo ship. Went through the canal that way to Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
And the Battleship Wisconsin was sitting in the harbor when we arrived there, and we was all commenting on that beautiful ship, and we didn't know where we was going, but we went ashore there in Honolulu, and so and behold, they started getting up men to take over there and putting on the battle wagon. So that's why I stayed until the war was over. Went to South Pacific and saw a lot of action out there. She had a lot of islands for the Marines to get ashore.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we had, as we got on into Tokyo, we had a lot of trouble with the kamikazes. That's Japanese suicide planes. From my understanding, they had kids flying those planes, maybe 18 years old, and all they had taught them was how to get off the ground and how to fly it, because they wasn't coming back. They didn't even teach them to land them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty weird, but I had some pictures of Japanese families and Japanese money and the Japanese flag when I went home, but all that got gone. That was souvenirs I had, but somebody picked it up along the way.
Okay. What was your job on board Battleship Wisconsin?
I was a seaman. We had I worked the tail end of the ship, mostly when they send out the observation planes. That was the one pilot, the one that shot off the ship on the catapult. It was our job getting him back in, and getting him back aboard the ship and putting the flame back on the shooter.
Catapult, yeah.
And you know, just mainly hanging around on the back of the ship, keeping that up back there, and doing a little painting and whatnot. Staying out of the way of the captain mostly.
Mm-hmm. When you were in combat on board the battleship, did you feel safe when you were on board the ship? Like in combat, were you not comfortable, but did you feel safe? Did you feel like...
Oh, yeah. Well, I was only like, 18, 19 years old. I really didn't know what I was in, really. But I guess the biggest fear I got out of the whole thing was, I don't know if they got that in history or not, but they had, my understanding, it was the worst typhoon known to man out there somewhere, and that battleship was on the water about half the time.
Mm-hmm.
They was like, I don't know, I'd say 50-foot swells looked to me like.
Okay.
It would ride one up and go down in the valley, and the next one would come over the top. That's what washed everything off the main deck.
Mm-hmm.
Even the captain barge. One of the Kingfishers, I think, got lost. But terrible storm.
And you had just recently gotten on board when
the
that
worst
happened.
thing about that was you're not allowed on the deck. You got to go inside the fuselage, and you're locked up in it. You can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothered me. If you go to the bottom, there's no way out.
Yeah, makes sense. Doesn't make sense. Did you partake in sports when you were on board? Did you play baseball or
Yeah,
basketball?
I tried boxing. I knew they had a boxing team on there on the way out, and several of the ships did. And they would load up one, some kind of pontoon boat, go to another ship and they'd have boxing matches. I never traveled from one ship to the other, but I went out for training, and I got very angry. While I was training, I went down there to check it out, and the guy that was over the boxing team was, I don't remember his name, but he said, "Yeah, you'll do fine." He said, "Go to the locker, supply room and get your tennis shoes, your shorts, whatever they give you. Come on back down here." So I did, and went back down. And he said, "I want you to get in the ring with this guy here." We was all in training, And to come find out, I was 18, that boy was 22. And he was a professional fighter, about my size. And he beat the way out of me. Every time I'd open my eyes, he'd put a fist in it. So I threw my gloves off and threw my shoes away and left. I got mad because they did that.
Mm-hmm.
There I was, a little training when I was a kid, but just street fighting, but I didn't think it was right for him to put me in the ring with a professional fighter. And that's what they did. So I quit. Never went back.
Makes sense. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't go back either.
He was good. He was about 22 years old, and he was a professional fighter. Mm-hmm. And every time I'd move my glove, he'd pop me in the nose. So I tried to get him off. I tried to shake him off. I ain't going for this. Mm-hmm. But it was fun. It was all fun. I'd done a little boxing. My old stepfather I had back in those days. I could box a little bit, and had one guy that he knew that wanted to take me for training to make a professional fighter out of me. And my mother said no. He was my stepfather, and I didn't like him. He didn't like me much. He was trying to get rid of me, I think. But I'd had a little training with boxing anyway, and thought I had enough of that anyway. So.
Now, when you were on board the ship, on those rare moments where you weren't working or at general quarters or something like that, what did you do for relaxation?
we'd sit under one of them gun turrets in the shade out in the hot weather, and what was it called, that thing? It was a cup of ice cream. They call them G-dunks.
Yeah, the Gee
You
dunk.
ever heard of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got one on
That's
board.
what you call them, G-dunks.
Yeah, we still got the Gee dunk on board. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine. He come from a poor family. You could tell he worked for the family. He was a lifeline of that family. He never had any money, but every time he got a payday, he would send it home. But I'd always buy his ice cream. We'd get under one of them turrets out there in the shade, you know, and he'd go get the ice cream, and I'd pay for it, and we'd sit under there and eat ice cream. I called it ice cream. They called it G-dunks.
Mm-hmm.
Funny name.
Yeah, Gee
Never
dunk.
heard it called that before. Never heard it since.
Nope, it's a Navy term, Gee dunk.
That's a Navy term, yeah.
Yep, Gee dunk. So
Yeah.
you paid for it and he went and got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
He never had any money. He sent his money home. I guess he was a breadwinner for the family, I guess, and he never had any money.
Sure,
And
Sure.
I always bought his ice cream for him.
but he went and picked it up.
He went and picked it up.
Yep. Now, did you know that had a term? That's got a name. Did you know that? That's called I buy, you fly. That's
Yeah.
what sailors call that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
buy, you fly. So yeah, I'll pay for it, but you gotta go pick it up.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the way it was. I paid for it, you go pick it up. But that kid, he never had any money. I could tell he come, you know, family that was lost their breadwinner, and he had sent all his money home. What little it was.
Yeah.
They used to call it $21 a day once a month. It was a payday, they called it. Pay $21 a day once a month. Wasn't much.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not for what you were doing. Tell me about your general quarters station. Where were you for battle station?
I guess you'd call it the number 2 turret. The 16-inch gun. It sits in front of the captain's quarters there. I was on that 40mm gun on top of the 16-inch turret.
So you were working a gun, an anti-aircraft gun, on top of the turret.
Right.
Okay.
I was a loader on the 40mm. It's an anti-aircraft gun. Shot down the kamikazes.
Mm-hmm.
And but I mean, we was right in front of the captain's bridge there, and
Yeah.
up almost about the same height they were.
Right.
So, but that's where we hung out at when we was on duty and at our station. And of course, while the war was going on, when the kamikaze planes would come out, we'd do our best to shoot them down.
Did
Our main job was selling islands and get the Marines aboard and keep the kamikazes off the aircraft carriers. They had no firepower, very little. They had a few 5-inch guns scattered around under the deck, but they couldn't keep the suicide planes off of them. So that was one of our main jobs, to keep them shot down off the aircraft carriers.
Did you shoot any down? Did your gun crew? Were you able to hit any?
Well,
Do you
it's
know?
hard to say. You got so many guns on that thing, you know, firing in different ships too. And in some cases, I remember being where I was. I saw this plane coming, Japanese suicide plane, was headed right toward us, and he got almost to us. I thought he was going to hit us, and he banked off and got, I'd say, maybe 5 foot off the water, very low, between our ship and the aircraft carrier over there. We couldn't fire on him. A fear of hitting well, they won't fire that low anyway. You know, when they get down so low, they won't fire. So we couldn't fire him, but evidently he knew that, the pilot. So he got down real low in the water, and he was going so slow he was just wobbling to keep the plane up. And finally, nobody could fire on him. He just shot the gas to it and started back up. And there were ships all around him, you know, aircraft was over here, battle wagons over here, and he just went back up, you know. But when he got high enough, we was able to shoot him down.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
but my understanding about these little young pilots they had in a lot of part of the war, that they wrote out their will before they left, and because they knew they wasn't coming back. That was pretty interesting, you know, I thought.
So something I found very interesting that you were telling me before, I want you to talk a little bit about, if you could, is being on top of the turret when they were shooting the big guns.
It's a problem.
Is a problem?
I've had it to rip my shirt. Concussion. See, we was right behind the 16-inch guns on the turret, but you try to find a little relief behind the shield metal around the 40 millimeter gun was there, and you could get some shield from that. But and I remember the one thing they told us, they let us know on the phones when they was going to fire the guns, 16-inch guns. They told us to stand on your toes and open your mouth, open the mouth as wide as you can get it. So that's what we did. But there's a lot of concussion back there, you know, it was strong.
Yes.
Behind those guns.
Yes. Now, you were of course on board the Wisconsin when she was in Tokyo Harbor after the surrender.
We went there, we was a little bit late. We didn't actually get to see the signing of the, they sent our ship down to check out some canals there in Tokyo, of fear of hidden ships that could hem us in and sink us, you know, because we was in the bay there, and so, the rest of them were. So when we come back from checking the bays out, they observed us a place by the USS Missouri. We could see everything, you know, that was going on that ship, the peace signing. But we got in on the last part of it because some of it was already done by the time we got there. But we saw most of it. And the Japanese was, there's officers, I guess, dressed out in some type of dark blue uniforms. The American soldiers like Nimitz, Bull Halsey, the big shots of the Navy, they were all white uniforms. We could see them real good. They was all on the fantail of the USS Missouri. We was tied up by them. So we got to see most of that. It was pretty interesting.
And then tell me about when you came home then.
Well, we had to go before the captain of that ship when he was getting discharged. And his first question was, would you like to stay in the Navy? I said, no. All my parents worked for the railroad, engineers, firemen, whatever. And I said, I've got a job on the railroad when I get home. So that's what I did. But they, I guess, was told to ask everybody if they wanted to, you know, sign up for another term in the Navy. But I was ready to go home.
Now, when the war ended, you were still on the ship. You came back to San Francisco, right? Tell me about when you got underneath the Golden Gate Bridge.
I remember going in there. We was maybe 8-10 miles out. I think it was 3rd, 5th, and 7th Fleet. There's several different fleets. All the ships more or less came back same time. And when we went on the Golden Gate Bridge, I remember seeing Alcatraz over here. And then we went on the Golden Gate Bridge, and it looked to me like it was solid from one end of that bridge over to the other was people. And I was up on that #2 gun there in front of the captain's bridge. We could see everything going on. A lot of hollering, waving. Oh man, it was great.
That's nice. That's really nice. Yeah, that's really nice. So what's your best memory about being on board Wisconsin? What's your fondest, your favorite memory about being on board the ship?
Well, I guess leaving Tokyo and going home, I guess, was about my fondest moment, because I'd turned probably 21 by then. I went in when I was 18, and I guess I was about 21, and I was ready to go home. But I was still a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't grow up till I was 35 years old. But I enjoyed the Navy. I mean, but I was never afraid out, even though we was in some pretty rough places at the time when they sent us kamikazes out there. And I was in a position where I could get shot pretty easy in front of the captain's bridge there on top of that turret. And it was interesting, and I had a lot of good experience. Was never afraid, I don't think. I thought everything would be all right.
Thank you, James. Thank you for your service, and thank you for doing this with me.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it myself. Thank you very much. So I want to thank you all for joining us today on this virtual adventure. I want to thank Mr. Farlow and Mr. Farlow's family for bringing them up here today so we could have this chat and visit. I hope that y'all can visit us real soon here at the Battleship Wisconsin and at Nauticus. And I want to thank you again for joining us today.